Hey everybody, Will here again with Happily Ever Outdoors. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Heritage Campfire Kit from Ultimate Survival Technologies. Before we go any further, I just want to let you guys know that I am currently serving as a brand ambassador for Ultimate Survival Technologies. That means they send me out free gear like this to test and review in exchange for my unbiased opinion, as well as some help in promoting their products. However, UST does not attempt to influence my opinions, and I'm not paid to post positive reviews. So any opinions that I express or statements that I make in this video are my own. I was pretty excited when UST sent me this product to check out because I think this is going to be a really great educational tool. This is going to be good for people who are just getting started in bushcraft, survival, that kind of thing. It's also going to be great for kids who are in scouts or who just want to learn more about the outdoors. So I think it'll make a really great gift in that respect as well. I love that it's got kind of an old-fashioned style and theme to it, hence the Heritage name in this line of products. You can see this has a burlap bag that it comes in. Very, very cool, sturdy bag. It's got a little drawstring there at the top, which is nice. And I think this will actually hold up fairly well over time. So now that we've got this all laid out for you guys, we'll take a look at UST's Heritage Sparklite Fire Starter. Now I like this because although it is a smaller fire starter, it's a very traditional style. It's got a nice large knob on the end there, which is going to make this easier to work with. It's got a leather or leather type strap right there. And it has a very traditional type fire starter striker that probably a lot of you are familiar with. This kit also comes with what UST refers to as kindling logs. You're going to get 9 of these all together. You can see that this is a very natural material. It's basically baled up. I'm not sure if this is pine or what kind of wood, but this is a natural product. It feels kind of waxy, so I think there's some wax going on in there too. So expect that these are going to work pretty well. In this kit, you're also going to get some of UST's Heritage Light Me Tinder. It's 12 pieces here. Comes in a little snap lid tin. You can see those are also sealed in a plastic bag there, so you're not going to have to worry about those getting wet. That is a resealable bag right there. Last but not least, we get a set of UST's Learn and Live Fire Building Tip Cards. This is the part I'm really excited about with this kit. This is what I think is going to make this a really great learning and teaching tool. Taking a closer look at these cards, these are actually really nice because these are constructed of a waterproof plastic type material, so these are not going to get damaged out in the weather. They're also attached together there at the corner, so none of these cards can be lost. And you can see these are double-sided, so there's all kinds of information here. You go ahead and you just flip through like that. Let's take a look at a couple of these. Where to build a fire. So that's going to tell you basically where is it safe to build a fire. Now we're not necessarily talking about survival situations because that's 1 in a million. What this is talking about is in everyday life how to be responsible when it comes to making a fire. Also talks about gathering tinder, how to find tinder while you're out in the woods and constructing a fire. You can see right there tools for igniting, gives you some different examples of some different types of fire starters you can utilize. Lighting your fire, taking a closer look at that one, that's going to show you some really good tips there on how to get that initial spark going. Of course, fire safety, that's very important, and how to extinguish your fire. One of the perhaps the most important fire safety measures that is often neglected. I'm sure you've probably seen on the news some of the forest fires that are going on in the United States right now. A lot of that is due to people either having campfires where they shouldn't or not properly extinguishing your fire. So that does give you tips on the back there. That's how to accomplish that as well. Now guys, something that's really important to remember, and you see this talked about in these cards, is that this fire starting kit is not an end-all beat-all. You're going to need a lot more natural materials to get a fire going and to keep it going. So before you work on getting that initial spark, that initial flame with this kit right here, you're going to want to gather some more materials. You can see here a few things that I was actually able to gather just from my immediate area in a very short period of time, just maybe about 5 minutes. I found some cattail fluff. This was from a marshy area that's right near where we're at right now. Some of this is really, really dry. You can see that's falling off. Some of it not so dry, but this stuff can work really, really good for getting a fire going. I've also got some of this grass right here that's got fluff on there, this reed type grass, and this stuff fell over right here. It was laying on the ground, so it was dead and it was dried out, so that'll help us out as well. I've also got some sticks that I found from some deadfall that was out here. So this is all stuff I was just able to forage. I didn't have to cut any logs or anything like that because we're not trying to build a big fire here. What we're going to attempt to do using this kit is to get a fire going with our little UST solo cook kit and our UST folding stove, and see if we can get some water boiled using this kit. Now, taking a closer look at the tinder that's provided in this kit, again, we have our kindling logs, which are going to be really good, I think, for giving you that longer burn. You're not going to want to keep these necessarily tightly bound up. What's going to be better is to kind of break that open a little bit, and you kind of use that, make a little bit of a nest there. Again, this feels waxy, so I think there's like a wax coating on here, which is going to help it to burn longer. Looking at the Light Me tinder, which is more of a man-made type tinder. It's a little more processed, but this is going to be really, really dry. So what you're going to want to do with this, again, it comes like in a tight little tube shape right here, but if you start twisting on that, it's going to break open, and this is going to be kind of like a cotton ball is what you're going to get. So we're going to want to go ahead and you want to take your time, prep that a little bit. You can pick that apart with your fingers and just pull it apart, or if you have a knife or something like that with you, you can use that to help you break it down a little bit quicker. But you're definitely going to want to open this up to make sure that all those fibers get a chance to catch that spark from your ferro rod. So here's a close-up so you guys can kind of see what it is I've constructed here. Again, I've broken this kindling log apart and used it to make something of a little nest. And then with my Light Me tinder, I've pulled that apart. I'm going to place that inside there. So hopefully that's what's going to take my spark, and then the log is going to give me that sustained burn. Be mindful, in this particular situation, I'm having to get this fire started so I can place it inside of my folding stove to go ahead and boil this water. It would be pretty tough with a ferro rod to be able to really get a good strike in there without moving my stuff around and messing up what I'm trying to do. So it's going to be more effective to do it this way and then place that inside the stove, and then we can build from there. Something to keep in mind with these cotton type tinders, I had a little bit of a difficulty because it is hot today, and so my hands started sweating. So if you're trying to break this stuff apart and make sure that you have something that's dry that's going to take a spark well, take the time to kind of wipe your hands if you can. Make sure your hands aren't wet or sweaty. Otherwise that could make it a little tougher for you to get a spark going. Something else to consider when you're working with a brand new ferro rod, they put this coating on the outside to help keep the rod from corroding, but it's not going to take a spark. So you're going to want to make sure before you really start working hard and trying to get a spark going, you scrape off a good area so that you'll get a good solid set of sparks. Okay guys, so now that that's accomplished, let's see if we can get this thing going. Look at that. So that tinder took real easy. It's going good now. So we'll go ahead and we'll get our stove in place, get this set inside of our stove, and look at that. We've got the initial makings of our fire. I pulled the picture out so you guys can see a little better. Now that kindling log is doing a really good job of keeping a sustained flame here. It's probably been about 25 or 30 seconds now, and it is still burning strong. That was just with one kindling log and one of the tabs. So we'll go ahead and use some of this natural material we have here. We'll try some of this reed grass. Oh, get that all situated in there. And while we've still got that initial flame going, let's go ahead and get some larger twigs set in there. Now guys, it can be a little tricky to get a fire going and to keep it going, especially if you're dealing with smaller materials, because they're going to burn up very quickly. And also, if your materials that you're using aren't completely dry, that could give you some problems as well. So that's a good example of why you want to make sure you keep a variety of materials handy, so that you don't have to go looking for anything else, so that you can just take care of your fire. You can see right there, if your fire starts trying to go out, going ahead and adding a little oxygen to it, just blowing on that gently from the side, that can bring your fire back to life. Now with a little stove like this, you're going to have to keep tending to it, but if you can get a little bit of a bed of coals going, that's going to help you a lot. So we're not going to want to rush it. We want to make sure we get a good burn going here before we start trying to boil our pot of water. Now as your flames begin to build, you're going to also want to start increasing the size of the materials that you're using. Small twigs may work really well for getting your fire started initially, but what's going to happen is those are going to continue to burn very, very quickly. So they're going to be consumed, and it's not going to give you enough sustained heat to actually do something like boiling water. So we're going to go ahead and just take our time and start increasing the size of the materials that we're burning. And you know guys, one of the things I'm really impressed with right now on this kit is the fact that if I look down in here a few minutes later, I can actually still see some of that kindling log burning. So that's definitely given us a good, solid, sustained burn. And you can see it's starting to build up a little bit of coals for us in the bottom. So I'm really impressed with that. And get this situated and see if we're about right. So we're going to need to adjust it in just a little bit. Let's see if we can do this just ever so slightly. Alright, looks like that's going to work. We'll go ahead and put a lid on our pot of water, just so we don't get a bunch of ash and stuff in there. And let's see if we can get this to boil. Alright, check this out guys. We've got a really steady boil going here. If you're boiling this water for sanitation purposes, you're going to want to make sure you let it run for an extended period of time. Different people, different agencies will give you different recommendations, but I would say if it's water you're worried about whether or not it's safe to drink, give it a couple of minutes of boil time. But if this was safe water and you were just getting ready to prepare some food, ready to eat meal, something along those lines, you'd be good to go right now. Alright guys, there you have it. So we were able to successfully get a fire going, to keep it sustained, and to boil some water, which was an essential survival task. So if we were in an emergency situation, this could have been the kind of thing that saved our lives. So definitely a good kit. It obviously works, but I think the biggest value here is as an educational tool. With those fire kits included, the fact that it introduces you to a couple of different types of tinder and to the idea of starting a fire with a ferro rod, I think is awesome. So I think definitely now that I'm done with this video, this kit is going to go to my son, so he can go ahead and practice his skills and learn from what is contained in this kit. So I am definitely very satisfied, very impressed with this product. So guys, we're gonna have to go ahead and wrap up this video because nature being as unpredictable as she can be, the rain is getting ready to hit us hard right now. So I've got to go ahead and pack things up, get into some shelter. But I appreciate you guys watching. I'd ask you that you go ahead and leave your comments and your questions below this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.